Hello and welcome back to this section. In this lecture, we're going to be working on variables. Now, we have been working on quite a number of lectures. We've started with this PHP, and I believe at this point, the introductory aspect of PHP is no more a new thing to us. We've done quite some things, and we have a good understanding of the various things have introduced in PHP up to this level. Now, variables are containers used to store values or data. Now, at this junction, I'm going to be saying categorically that every programming language has what we call variables, but different programming language with different ways at which we declare those variables. But the bottom line is that variables has the same concept on every other programming language. So the concept that variables holds or stores values or data, that's just a concept, but the way at which we will declare those variables can be different from each programming languages that we have, and thereabouts. Now I'm going to be showing you how to declare a variable with PHP. Alright, let's go to our code editor. Now, let's create a variable file. So we have variable.php. I'm going to be having, let's put down a shift 1. Okay, so let's have that there. And let's go put our PHP syntax. Okay, so we are going to go with any PHP code. Now let's create variable. How do we create a variable in PHP? Firstly, we have to put down a $sign. Okay, now $sign is very common and is very important in PHP, especially when you want to declare a variable. So you have to put the $sign and put the name of the variable. So I'm just going to put name. Now, this right here is how we declare the variable. So we have the $sign and we have the name of the variable. Now, this variable we have here is empty. Now, for we to complete this variable, there must be something assigned to this variable. As it stands, this is what the variable is all about. We have the $sign, we have the name of the variable, but we have to assign a value, a data, or something. We have to assign something to the variable for it to be a full-fledged variable. Now let's remove this semicolon. Now I'm going to use an assignment operator. This is not an equal operator, it's an assignment operator trying to assign a particular value or data to the variable. Alright, now I'm going to give it my name, David. Okay, put a semicolon at the end. Now this is how we declare a variable in PHP. Okay, this is how a variable has been declared. We have the $sign, we have the name of the variable, then we assign the data to the variable. Now, what is this? We are assigning David to the variable name. Alright, now for we to continue with this, I'm going to be showing you the different ways that we can actually create a variable. Now another thing you need to know is that a variable is case sensitive. All right, now this variable right here is different from this variable I have here now. All right, now this is lowercase. These are lowercase words. Now this is a capitalized case word. I have the $sign, then I have my N in a capital letter, and the remaining words here are written in a small letter. Now this is totally different from the first variable that is being declared here. Alright, so that's, you need to understand that variables are case sensitive. Alright, another thing you need to know is that when declaring a variable, how you declare the variable actually matters a lot. Okay, so declaring a variable like this, so we have name. Okay, then if you want to put in a second word, all right, you can now make this the second word capitalize. You capitalize the second word, and you have this like this. All right, so in case you have two words, so we have the name list, then we have something assigned to that. Okay, let's give it number list. Name matters a lot, so let's give it number. Okay, now we have the number list as the name of this variable. Don't forget to put a semicolon at the end. Okay, now we have two words right here. I have the number and I have the list. So when declaring a variable and there are two words, just as a good practice, you know what you're doing. Just the second word, try to make the second word an uppercase letter. All right, and another way is that you should not do something like this. So let's say we have number, you now put is a colon, an hyphen, sorry, and I put list. So this is totally wrong. Trying to declare a variable this way is totally wrong. Okay, you can't declare a variable this way. You have the number and the second word, you now put an hyphen separating the two words is totally wrong. Okay, it's not attainable in PHP. So how do you do that? You just create the second word to be a capital letter, then we know that these are two words, and so you don't do this in PHP. All right, we don't put an hyphen in to do that in PHP, but you can do something and put an underscore. Sorry, oh, is that? Oh, okay. You can put an underscore separating the two words that we have here. All right, so you cannot use an hyphen, but you can use an underscore to separate the two words that are written right here, declaring this kind of variable. Okay. All right, so another thing you need to know is that you can use a number to start a variable. Okay, you can use a number to start a variable. All right, so we can use 0, then put in the variable name or something. You can start a variable with a number. That's just it. You cannot start a variable with a number. All right, so those are the things you need to know about this particular the way at which we declare variables in PHP. You can't start a variable with a number. All right, so that's very, very important when declaring variable. Now let's look at how we can output the result of what we have. Yes, so we use the echo function, and we pass in the name of the variable. All right, so with this, what really happens, it goes to the browser and output the value that is already assigned to that variable. That's what really happens. It goes there sorry for that. It goes there and it outputs the value that has been assigned to that particular variable, using the variable name to do that. Now that's what that's what happens right here. All right, now moving on. Now before I end this lecture, okay, let's check this out. Let's go to our browser and check this out. So let's change that to variable.php. all right, so we have David right here, outputted right here. Okay, very, very, very easy, very simple to achieve, and I believe you're having a good understanding of what we are actually doing right here. Now moving on, I'm going to be showing you how we can actually join two variables together. Okay, so we have name and we have number right here, number list variable right here. So I'm going to be showing you how we can actually bring them together, and we do that using what we call concatenation. Okay, how we can concatenate, bring two variables together. Okay, how we can join them together. We do that using what we call concatenation. All right, so I'm going to use this echo variable name dots. Okay, we use the dots to do that, so I'm going to do number lists. All right, so let's go back to our browser, and we have David and we have 100. Now let me comment on this. Okay, now let's go back, and all right, we have David 100. We see that they are now joined together. Okay, now let's try to see how we can put a space in between them. Okay, so what we'll just do here, we'll just put a quote and then put a dot there again, and put a space here. So I have a dot, I have the quote here. Okay, putting a space in between the two of them, and I put the dot character right there. Now this will enable us have a space in between the two variables. Okay, the two values. All right, so that's it about the variables. And lastly, before I move on to what the next lecture, your variables have the values assigned to the variables have what we call a data type. Okay, now the data type of this David of this is a string. Okay, we have a string data type. Now we have an integer. Now this second value that we have here is an integer, that is a number and whole number. Also we have what we call a float. Okay, so let's copy this. Okay, I'm gonna copy that and give this, remove that, right? Number float, let's give it a name. Just put a dot there and let's put a 5. Now this is what we call the float number. Okay, there will be a dot, all right, a decimal point in the number. All right, so that's what we call a float. So that's a data type in PHP. All right, so the first one is a string, second one is an integer, third one is a float. All right, so those are the data types that we have assigned to the values. We have assigned to the values in these variables. All right, so every single data have a type. All right, you need to understand that every data that we are assigning to the variables have what we call a data type on each one of them. All right, so I believe you understand what I'm saying. You have a good understanding of what I'm actually explaining to you, and I believe before the end of this course you are going to be a PHP pro in what you're doing. All right, thank you for this, thank you for your time, and see you in the next session, and bye for now.